Good morning, y'all. This is the Apoth Green. Happy Friday, or Monday, or Tuesday, or Wednesday, or Thursday, or whatever day it happens to be for you. Whenever you stumble upon this message is when it was meant to find you. However, if it does not fit, please don't try and make it fit, but let it sit and let it marinate for those who need it. With that being said, thank you for not only showing up for me, but for showing up for yourselves today. Okay, let's go ahead and hop into it. So, kind of like a quick little side note, I did channel some heavy anxiety riddled energy, and like it's that energy of like waiting for the other shoe to drop. When I was grounding and, trying to get into the collective's energy and tap in and understand exactly what was going on this week, blah, 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 I definitely felt that like the other shoe is going to drop energy, like almost like anticipating when, someone gets home or, going to work or going to school, like that sort of feeling, because like you don't want to interact with a specific individual or a group of individuals. And I understand that feeling, and I am really sorry that you're experiencing this right now. I do want to say that, it almost felt like, when you're a kid and you do something really, 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 really bad, and you're waiting for your parents to get home, and you're just imagining the consequences, and, you're just in anticipation of that. So it kind of feels like that. It feels like you almost feel like this consistent energy of being in trouble, even though you're not in trouble, or just waiting for the other shoe to drop, like just very anxious. If this has to do with like, your home life or your work life, or, it's a relationship of some sort, such as like, a parental figure or caregiver, a boss, I don't know, a friend or a romantic relationship. It could be any of those, but it definitely feels like this individual is operating out of masculine energy. They themselves can be any gender. They can identify as any gender physically. However, energy is very fluid, so I feel like this individual or these people who you are struggling with are definitely operating out of, I feel like when they want to be a little more aggressive, they will operate out of masculine energy. And when, they want to be sneaky about it, they'll operate out of their feminine energy. And it's kind of like this fucked up duality. I feel like, if you live with this person, or like it's like a work situation, and like you have to see them every day, I feel, that anxiety that you're feeling, in which it's like, especially like the hours like leading up to the event in which you have to interact with them. And it's like, you might get sweaty. You might notice that you're sweating a little more profusely. I got goosebumps earlier, so y'all might get goosebumps. I don't know about y'all, but personally, like, I have a bit of a lisp and I stutter a lot. So, like, if you have like some sort of speech impediment, you might be exhibiting that more and having more trouble with, even formulating a sentence in order to, interact with this individual. All I can say, though, is the divine want me to let you know that, like, if this is a situation in which you have to see this person on the daily, or, you know, however often you have to see them, you just feel this way before you have to see them. Until you can leave that environment for sure. Because, you know, I feel like this person is, you know, they're not even half safe. Like, they just don't feel safe, okay? And even half safe individuals aren't safe, you know? Like, you want to feel, like, fully comfortable and fully safe to be you. So it's like, sorry, I'm putting on lotion. But, the divine want me to let you know that, you know, until you can depart from this environment, and we're going to talk about this more in the downloads, you should definitely do your best to try and limit contact with this individual. But, you know, and I can hear y'all now, like, okay, that's easy for you to say, but I live with them. Or that's easy for you to say, but, you know, that's my coworker and they sit next to me, or things like that. And I can totally understand that these sorts of circumstances can make these feelings that you've been experiencing feel inevitable, and, like, you know, it's just part of your routine now. And that's exactly kind of how, like, you know, we get, you know, stuck in those sort of emotions, is that, you know, it becomes a habit for us to operate out of those emotions, unfortunately, if we're in a cyclical circumstance like that, right? Good girl, Lulu. But if you cannot, you know, just completely, like, give yourself space away from this particular group or this individual, again, just try and limit contact. And, like, say you do see them every day, or say you have to sit next to them at work or in school, you know, keep your headphones on. If it is work, I feel like it'd be a great idea to go above them and talk to HR, especially if it's, like, you know, a boss or something, and, like, you know, or even a supervisor, and you've been doing your best to, like, you know, communicate with them, and shit's just not getting better. If you can go above them, do so. If this is a living situation, you know, and, like, you know, you still have to see each other while you're, like, you know, passersby in the living room, or, you know, in the hallway or the kitchen or whatever, or, like, you feel like, you know, every time. And I've experienced this. I know exactly how this is. Because, like, it feels like, especially if the person is narcissistic, but it feels like, you know, you could be doing the most to avoid this person. Like, you can be very uninteresting in terms of conversation. And that was a tactic my therapist, Erin Wall, had taught me. She had taught me to essentially just become as uninteresting as possible when interacting with the particular narcissistic individual in my life. And so I would act very uninteresting and just kind of, like, you know, slowly but surely detach my energy in that sense. And I would just, you know, stay in my space as long as I could and let them stay in their space. But, like, if I ever went into the kitchen, for instance, like, this person would, like, be listening, and they'd hear me in the kitchen, and so they come out and they'd just stare at me and, you know, wanting me to either react or engage with them in some way. And it's like, it's just annoying. So I understand. I totally understand. So if it's like that, you know, it's literally going to be a matter of, at that point, choosing your battles. Okay? And this is really going to test you. And again, we're going to get more into that when we get into our angel numbers, but I am here for you. Okay? I am here for you, and I know exactly what that's like, and I know it can feel, in a sense, daunting to not feel safe in an environment in which you're working or where you live or, things of that nature. But I also want to aid in giving you the tools in how to navigate that sort of situation and how to heal afterward. Okay? But that's all I can do. I can give the tools, but y'all, it's up to you to do the work after, okay? Like, I be giving out homework, it is up to you to do the homework. I can only lead the horse to water, okay? Alright, let's go ahead and get into our angel numbers, because that is some really heavy energy that y'all are experiencing. Definitely pour into yourself more, okay? And I know you're probably tired of hearing this. I recently watched a video in which Dr. Romney, ironically, Dr. Romney was talking about a label or a title in the narcissistic family household. This doesn't just have to be in the household or family, though. This could be wherever, but it's typically in the family. This particular label is that of the housemaid, and so this person will typically, do all the cooking, do all the cleaning, also probably play therapist, but like you're essentially the narcissist's right hand. So you could be the golden child, but you can also be the scapegoat, but you're also the handmaid, but you're a million labels, okay? And I highly recommend you looking that up. Some keywords would be, and this is on YouTube, some keywords would be Dr. Romney, handmaid, and legit, like, it'll be the first option that pops up. Dr. Romney is a licensed psychologist, and she knows her ish, and she specializes in those who are narcissistic and helping you identify as well as how to navigate well within a narcissistic relationship or familial tie or, or even work. And I say those things because not everybody takes, relationship as, something outside of romanticism. I know a lot of people, whenever I say the word relationship, immediately think like, romantic, but I'm talking about a broad spectrum. She knows her shit. She can help you identify and navigate well within, as well as heal well outside. And I feel like we need more people like that in the world because, unfortunately, and I know that a lot of us, are scared to use this label, but there is a narcissism epidemic among us. And I feel like, thankfully, especially with social media, people definitely tell on themselves a lot more. However, it's also easier to see, who is enabled in these circumstances. And, it's just, we gotta stop enabling it. But anyway, let's get into our angel numbers. So we got for last week. Oh, and by the way, I am very sorry for not doing a podcast last week. Life got to life in. I had to handle some shit, but I'm back. Anyway, our first angel number is 555. Our second will be 0909. And then we'll have 1414 and 111. I'll probably combine those. So let's go ahead and pop into 555. So 555. You can see the number 5 as a number that is associated with Mercury. So in essence, it is ruled by Gemini, but then exalts in Virgo. However, Virgo is also still the domicile. So like that means that it's most comfortable in Virgo, if that makes sense. But it's ruled by Gemini. So being that its domicile is in Virgo, this essentially balances out that Gemini through practicality while catering to the curiosity of the twin sign, which is interesting because like Virgo and Gemini, like I feel like they don't go very well together. But Mercury is like, hey, I did it, and I'm showing you how I did it. Mercury, you can see this as like the planet of communication, the planet of thought, things of that nature. So, I do want to let you know that you are coming in loud and clear. What I mean by that is in terms of your communication, like you are definitely loud and clear, like you're not speaking a different language, you are not, mumbling, you're not, not speaking in a way that a person could not understand, especially a person of, that person's or these people's caliber. Like, you're an adult, they're an adult, they understand. They understand exactly what the fuck you're saying, even if they act like they don't. Some people, as we've covered, are just dedicated to misunderstanding you, and it be that way. Not only that, but again, kind of like referring to that communication, when it comes to your banter or like any quick-witted humor, these are especially heightened right now. So I feel like someone really needs you to cheer them up. And I know that I know that it kind of feels like, like how we had channeled earlier, like you're going through your own shit, and totally focus on your own shit, totally focus on you and your healing. But I feel like there is that one strong friend or individual or family member, or even like your partner or something. There's that one strong person who really needs you to cheer them up right now. And again, like your banter, your quick-witted humor, these are definitely heightened right now. So use these to your advantage. This individual who I'm referring to, they can be going through a dark night of the soul. Now, this person, I feel like their energy is old. Like, their soul is an old soul. And, they're one of those friends or family members who, who you don't really think needs a lot of help, but that's probably because they don't ask for a lot of help. And they're probably someone who likes to do a lot on their own, and, I totally get that, but just check on them. Okay, just check on them. When I talk about the dark night of the soul, think of it like a tower moment. So, thank you for that confirmation. So, with the tower card in tarot, you can see it as this. There's this tower, and it's crumbling, and it looks like there's utter chaos erupting everywhere, and there's lightning striking down, and it essentially denotes surprise, right? Surprise stemming from the foundations of one's beliefs about a particular subject being crumbled and the truth essentially being revealed. You can see the tower that way, okay? So I feel like someone might be going through this dark night of the soul. This is probably their 10th awakening, but I feel like this person doesn't even realize they're going through awakenings. I feel like, this is just, this person's just going through the motions, okay? They might not even be spiritual. That's interesting. But I feel like they don't realize that a lot of moments within their lifetime have been, not just epiphanies, but spiritual awakenings. And now they're going through this dark night of the soul, which is almost always one of the pinnacles of a spiritual awakening. And, I know everybody seems to be going through a little something, or everybody seems to be having tower moments right now, but you know who I'm talking about. This particular person, this strong person, they need you to give them something to smile or laugh about, to, remind them that you love them and that you're happy that they're in your life. Because I want to remind you that it could be you who makes a difference in someone's life. and who makes a difference in whether or not they choose to continue this particular life. That was a hefty one. Outside of that, do know that you do have a special way of communicating in which, like, it just feels like you know all the right things to say. And I'm not, like, talking about, like, you know, just pure words of, like, you know, milk and honey or anything like that. Like, you just genuinely, like, without realizing it, almost it feels like this prophetic energy. But, like, you just always know what to say. Like, you may even be giving others the confirmation that they need without knowing it. So it's that very prophetic and Hierophant-like energy. I'm also getting that, like, even if, like, you're on social media, for instance. So, like, even through the memes or, like, you know, different posts that you make, you may not realize it, but the things that you share can be helping someone through a rough patch. So, you know, keep on keeping on. Good for you. Like, your communication is through the roof right now. Okay, so I do want to tell you that you are going to have a test, and, you know, it's not only just this person or people testing you, but it is the universe, and the subject is essentially, is it worth it? How much self-control do you really have? This test will push you toward change. So let's go ahead and unravel that. You are going to find out exactly what it means to choose your battles. Not only that, but in some battles, you may attempt to bring a bazooka to a toothpick fight. And this was illustrated to me by Patrick Tian. He's another licensed social worker and psychologist, but I don't believe he's in practice anymore. I think he just kind of like does like group work now, which I'm going to touch on that later. I've noticed a lot of therapists and those who are in the psychological field leaving, and I want to touch on that too. But that was noted and quoted by Mr. Patrick Tian. In some battles, you may attempt to bring a bazooka to a toothpick fight. Okay? And that was like loosely paraphrased, right? So it's like just realizing that, you know, we can be intense sometimes, and we can feel very intensely, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it's how we react that really dictates, you know, who we are in the end. So self-control, control over one's tongue and one's actions is going to be needed heavily right now, because someone or that group is going to come in and try you. So how you choose to act or react, remember this, how you choose to act or react comes with its own set of consequences. Choosing to do nothing, however, is still a choice. So it's like that major, like, Five of Wands, Knight of Swords energy. Like, I feel like this other person is just really trying you. Like, you know, they can range from, like, you know, just petty and annoying to, like, just absolutely in-your-face aggressive. Again, like, kind of like in that Gemini circumstance of the twins, where on one hand, they can be petty, annoying, and acting out of that feminine energy, to going all the way to acting out of their masculine energy and making it really in your face and aggressive and apparent and blatant. It feels like a lot of, like, unnecessary competition, and, like, just this person who is super immature. Okay, just this super immature, like, really wants to be the, you know, in the spotlight, and will do anything to get attention, be it good or negative. Like, they just want your attention, okay? And it's fucking annoying. But, you know, they can range from being petty and annoying. So, like, you know, they can be like someone who, you know, this feels like psychological warfare to me, but, you know, they could be someone who, like, rearranges your plans. They could be someone who rearranges. I guess that was oddly specific. That's happened to me before, so I don't know if like that's happening to y'all. But they could be someone who rearranges shit in your zone in general. Like, people should not be touching your shit. I even had a girl who, like, at work, who, like, wanted to sit next to this guy she had a crush on. And I had no problem with that. But she went to my desk and grabbed my stuff and moved my stuff to another desk without telling me where it was. It was all far away, and, like, I come in there, and I'm like, girl, don't touch my shit. But anyway, that is beside the point. You know, people can just, like, be really petty, or, like, you know, they show how little humanity they have, and how little they care for other individuals. And I want you to know that, you know, in the end, you get to choose. You know, whether to stay stuck in a situation or to evolve from it, and to utilize that particular lesson as a way to grow and to learn. You know, I feel like a lot of the things that I have gone through personally, and this isn't just through like pattern recognition, because like I feel like personally I have had to do years and years of healing, and there have just been multiple circumstances that have been really wild. But I just want to say that, like, personally, like, I think that if one is able to go about learning how to detach and heal, that is in the best interest. Because I have never, unless, you know, the other individual, and this isn't just to appease you, right? But unless the other individual is wanting to fix whatever is going on with them, okay? Is wanting to change, unless they are wanting to change. Because by golly, I can see all the change that you are doing. I can see all of the self-reflection that you are doing. And I'm so proud of you. And I want you to realize that all of that work you're doing, even though, like, you know, you're not getting, like, universe bucks for it, like, the universe is proud of you too. And the universe is going to be giving you your accolades and whatnot. But on that same token, it's time to realize that, you know, we cannot control how other people operate. You know, we can do all the magic we want to, but we can never control how other people operate. At least not fully, you know, because, yeah, say you do, you know, hex them or curse them, or, you know, do a love spell on them. Yeah, all of a sudden they're infatuated with you, but they're not in love with you. It's that kind of stuff. So it's like, we can't necessarily control people. And, you know, I know that a lot of us, you know, these could be your parents. These could be, you know, this could be a workplace. This could be, you know, a best friend. And I know that sometimes there are ties that keep us to places that are more than, you know, just financial. Okay? But in the end, if you do not feel safe somewhere, you do not belong there. And, you know, don't see that as like a place that you're going to be stuck in. See that as your signal that, hey, this individual operates this way. Now I know. I'm moving on. If they change, cool. If not, you know, like, it ain't none of my business, but I'm gonna go over here and do my healing and not keep giving them the chance to try and get me to regress and act out of character and, you know, stoop down to the level that they want me to stoop down to. So, again, I know it's easier said than done. I have been in these sorts of situations, so I totally get it. You know, but in the end, again, like, you can have all the tools, but it's up to you what you do with them. Okay? You are the magician. You have all the tools. You have so much power. And if you're doing all of this work, you deserve individuals in your life who are also doing the work. Now, this doesn't mean that they have to be perfect. Obviously, you know, we're all flawed. We're all human. Even gods and goddesses are flawed. Okay? This doesn't mean that they have to be perfect, but you have to feel safe with them. That's the bottom line. Okay? All right. I feel like if this is like, you know, a landlord or a boss or, you know, someone of that nature, this individual may even kind of like try to mess with your finances. This may be really specific. So like, if some of you are like, you know, if you're under 18, you should not be listening to this. But if like some of you like live with your parents or live with your, you know, caregivers or, you know, have a spouse or something, and this is really specific, but like you decided to have them hold on to some money for you, okay? And you know, you're like, I'm trying to save that for this and this, please don't let me touch it. But you go to get that money later, and that particular person all of a sudden is like, no, you already took that money and now you're stealing from me. So it's like, it could be like that. It could be like that they're like messing with like your clock in times and your clock out times. They could be like blatantly ignoring you to like make it seem like you're doing a bad job. That was really specific too. They could be giving you a lot more on your plate than, and then referring back to that handmaid, right? They could be putting a lot more on your plate than, you know, they should be, and, you know, they're getting a kick out of watching you, you know, try and keep up with all of the demands. They're definitely trying to smear your name, but in your face, I feel like they play dumb, and they act really nicey nice, and they're very two-faced. So definitely like that Gemini energy. This individual or you can have Gemini or Virgo heavily aspected in your chart. Oh, I gotta let little one out. Give me just a sec. Katino, don't poo-poo in here. Katino, don't poo-poos. What is in your mouth? Come on. Go get some sun, guys. Go get some sun. I'm actually gonna open up those blinds. I had shut my blinds earlier because I was trying to record, but shit is crazy outside, and that shit was distracting me, and I want the sunlight in here, so I'll just have to get over it. Good girl! Okay. Where were we? Let's see. Okay, so we were gonna get to 0909. Immediately when I thought of this, the Wheel of Hecate, also known as the Strophalos. And that is essentially Greek for the meaning of to spin. Okay, so the Wheel of Hecate or the Strophalos. I also thought of Ouroboros. And so both of these are so heavily representative of, you know, the different cycles within life that we break and we create. But on top of that, they are also representative of the cycles of life within itself, specifically the Wheel of Hecate, right? So there are 3 different little like mazes within this particular wheel. They look like mazes, right? But those 3 particular mazes are to represent the maiden, the mother, and the crone. And that is essentially who Hecate is, right? She's the triple moon goddess, in other words, and she is representative of the mother, the maiden, the crone. All of these different cycles of life. She is also heavily aspected with the moon. So I feel like a lot of you could definitely be doing a lot of moon work, be it with the new moon or the full moon in particular. With Mother's Day just passing here in America, she will definitely be making herself known more. So she, like Bastet, is a protector of women, children, and those who cannot protect themselves, such as the elderly or animals. She is also very, very protective of those who come to her at a crossroads and don't know exactly what to do but ask for her guidance. She will protect you along your journey. Black dogs may be very significant to you right now. She definitely can show up as a black dog too. So with the whole Ouroboros energy, if you look at the imagery itself, it is a snake eating its own tail. And the symbolism of the snake eating its own tail is exactly what it depicts. You know, when we continue on a cycle that, you know, we are remaining cognitive dissonant within, and we know it's not good for us, but we still continue it anyway, that is when we're in the Ouroboros cycle, or Ouroboros energy, in which, you know, we are the snake continuously eating itself. And, you know, at that point, it's either change or, you know, consume yourself. Allow yourself to be consumed by yourself because you choose not to change. So I also got the energy of the Fool. So like and that this came with 0, right? So we're still on 0909. So like 0. In tarot, the Fool is card number 0. And the reason for this is because there are infinite possibilities, infinite fates, infinite ways to go about one's adventure. You are the Fool, you are just beginning, and, you know, you're out here, you're doing your thing. That is who the Fool is, okay? So, with the Fool energy out here right now, I feel like you are definitely taking a leap of faith into a new beginning. And I say a leap of faith because you are really relying on the divine right now. And I fucking feel that. Like, I feel that. Like, it can feel like a lot of odds are stacked up against you to make it feel like you're stuck, okay? So like evil, the devil, whatever you want to call it, demons, that sort of energy, it just, oh, gotta get my dog. 1 second. Lulu, come inside, baby. Okay, it wasn't my dogs. So like, I'm trying to teach my dogs to just be outside and, you know, obviously play with each other, but I don't want them to, like, you know, bark at neighbors or bark at the other dogs. And I feel like I'm the only one in the neighborhood trying to teach my dogs, but this is probably just a cognitive bias. But anyways, good job, babies. Okay. So, like, you are definitely, like, relying on the divine right now in terms of this new beginning, because otherwise it feels like, you know, it can feel like you're stuck. And again, like, the devil, the evil, whoever, whatever you want to label it as, that sort of energy, it just moves in wild ways. And so, you know, it does its best to make you feel stuck. Okay? It does its best to make you give up. Because that's when you are most vulnerable. And it operates. It operates out of circumstances. It operates out of people. It can operate, you know, out of those who don't know how to keep their spirit strong. And, you know, I guess this is why I resonate with the spiritual community so much. Well, one of the reasons anyway, because in terms of, like, you know, we can take psychopaths and sociopaths and narcissists and all of those, you know, different personality disorders. And if you really think about it, you know, I feel like in a spiritual sense, it's because these particular people don't know how to keep their spirit safe, and don't care to keep their spirit safe. And, you know, they utilize, whether or not they realize it, they utilize these fucked up circumstances. They manipulate, they navigate in a fucked up way, okay? They just navigate in a fucked up way. So it's like, I understand that you're coming against all of this crazy shit, and it's just like, dude, what the fuck? Like, I'm not even gonna lie, there have been times where I myself have, like, you know, gotten off of work, and I come home, especially in, like, retail or customer service, and I'd come home, and I'd be like, dude, what the fuck was today? Like, I just had someone yell at me for 10 minutes about how I'm a whore, and I'm not allowed to hang up. And I'm not even a whore. They just couldn't, you know, pay their bill, but apparently I'm a whore. And so it's like, you know, you feel bad for those people because they can't pay their bill, but at the same time, you see exactly why they can't pay their bill, and it's because they treat people that way. So it's like, my dude, I understand, and I'm sorry for saying dude, but I understand, and I would come home and I'd be like, what the fuck is wrong with people? But again, you know, I feel like I've kind of come to this conclusion in which it's like, you know, as much as I want a utopia, or, you know, a place in which, you know, everyone, you know, is healed and happy and whatnot, I feel like there would be no balance in the world, and it would still create this imbalance of, like, fuckery, because, you know, people are people, and people will people, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much good you try to spread. There's just always going to be that one bad apple. And I don't want to be, like, saying I'm, like, you know, that's not just pessimism, that's thinking realistically, okay? Like, there's always going to be at least one bad apple in the bunch. How we choose to navigate that barrel and how to get out of that barrel is up to us. That's all, that's it. Okay. Expect a new beginning around September. This is going to be huge too. So, like, I think a couple weeks ago, I was talking about, like, a big move, right? In which this could be, like, you know, it could be a move in which, like, you know, you're going to, you know, move into a new home or a new apartment, new city, new country, whatever. But it could also be that, like, you know, finally things are, like, looking up, and, like, you know, your band is finally going on tour. Or it could be like a state championship for you, right? And, you know, you're really stoked. So, like, this new beginning will be coming around September, and I just hope you're ready, because, you know, it's going to be coming in really fast and really exciting, like, and I hope you're excited. You are definitely seeing in what ways you have been the snake eating its own tail. So which cycles from life it is time to close the chapter on. And we get that with number 9. You are definitely, like, looking back and seeing, you know, what loose ends need to be tied up. Not just on your part, but, like, outside of you. And, you know, just like when the inside is good, the outside is good. When the outside is good, the inside is good. So just, you know, remember that. With spring coming to a close and summer upon us, your summer body, whatever that is for you, any shape, size, whatever. Some of you, I got particularly for the women, are hourglass shape. And then some of you, if you're a man, have extremely broad shoulders. But your summer body, whatever shape it is banging, okay? And people are loving it. Like, I feel like you got people gawking. And I hope you're proud of yourself, because holy shit, like, you are smoking, you are hot, you are C4, baby, you are dynamite, like, people are loving you. Anyway, going back to Hecate. So Hecate is pre-Greek, but she was primarily recorded to have been worshipped then. Okay, so during the Greek mythology times. and has become a goddess to many neo-traditional practices such as neo-paganism. You could feel that you yourself are like before your time or not of this world, because in essence Hecate really represents kind of like the in-between, because she, not only is she representative of, the underworld as the goddess of the underworld, but she is noted to be the one who will take you across the river of Styx and help you navigate. Okay? She will make sure that you're safe on your travels. She's also the goddess of magic. Definitely the goddess of the crossroads. When you think of her in terms of symbolism, you could think of torches, again, black dogs, snakes. And I feel like that's also why we heavily got that Ouroboros energy, right? With the will of Hecate, being so similar to the Ouroboros. Especially in meaning. But yeah, she is, the goddess of cycles, again, referring to that maiden mother crone. It can also be representative of whatever stage you are personally in right now. I feel like a lot of you are going into your mother or your crone energy, and I love that for you. So again, she represents the in-between and things that may not always be what they seem, and I feel like that's very important. I know that, and I was talking about this earlier, but I don't think I finished that thought because I got distracted. But I know that, a lot of times when an individual has been through a lot of trauma, it can seem like, especially if they are not healed, it can seem like, they are consistently, operating out of that trauma. And a lot of them make decisions based on that trauma. And I can understand that. That's kind of like the whole idea of not bringing the bazooka to the toothpick fight, right? But on that same token, I feel like that's also another way to kind of victimize people and, teach them that, a lot of their reactions are stemming directly from trauma. And so, they might be in a really dangerous situation, but they may think that, they're the fucked up one, or they're dangerous because, they're feeling these ways. And it's a really sticky kind of way to interact with people and to, label things, because sometimes it's the trauma and then the healing. I mean, trauma can provide a great lesson. The healing also provides another great layer for that lesson. And so after going through trauma, I feel like it is really important to do the healing. That way, you can recognize the signs and, understand what a red flag is and what a yellow flag is, what an orange flag is. Whereas, what the green flags might look like, or, the other good flags like blue or purple or whatever, I don't know. But you know what I mean. It is important to know these things and to be trauma informed. We don't want to just completely always navigate out of our trauma. But I also feel like if you yourself are not someone who specializes in trauma or is particularly trauma informed, for now, unless you can help that particular individual, because I know you're well-meaning, for now, maybe do your best not to tell people to act out of trauma or make them feel bad for acting out of trauma, because it's better to, listen to people, because, this is kind of making me think back to the 555, in which you had that person who needed your help, right? That person who, is usually the strong one, but, doesn't really talk to anybody, but, you decide to be there for them. I feel like this might be relating to that in a sense, in which, like, I feel like they're nervous that, you know, they're uncertain of whether or not they're acting out of trauma or they're being dramatic or, gosh, that's really heavy, or anything like that. But I feel like it, and I feel like that's why I might have had that little sidebar just a few seconds ago. Maybe you need to explain that to them. That, you know, maybe it's not just past trauma, like maybe they are actually like seeing these red flags, these yellow flags, these orange flags, and, you know, just kind of give them that validation, because maybe someone needs that sort of validation right now. We can also see Hecate as a guide for lost souls, so not just to the underworld, but lost souls in general. She also aids and served as protection for Persephone. So, I'm sure many of you know this, but Persephone was trapped in the underworld with Hades, who, you know, became obsessed with her. They say he fell in love with her. I say he fell in obsession. But she was kept entrapped in the underworld with Hades, and, you know, when she was returned by Miss Hecate, who led her out of the underworld back to Demeter. Shit's crazy. I believe Demeter is her mom, if I'm not mistaken. I need to brush up on my Greek mythology, but if I remember, Persephone is Demeter's daughter. And Hecate returned Persephone to Demeter. Yes, that'd be it. Okay, so I also feel like, because of, like, I had that need to bring up that association of Hecate helping Persephone to reach Demeter again and to escape the underworld. I'm sorry, I need some water. There was, like, and this is more Gemini energy, okay? But it was like strong Lovers card energy and strong Devil card energy, okay? So we get like heavy Capricorn and Gemini energy here. Like, I feel heavily that this person could be a Gemini or have that in their chart somewhere. Whether you interact with Hecate or not, just know that she is protecting you. If you do want to offer her some space, you can place some offerings on your altar just to start off with, such as like garlic or a garlic honey or spicy honey. She definitely likes desserts. Definitely like the whole idea of just quote unquote desserts, meaning like, you know, handing out those just desserts, justice. But in terms of like actual desserts, she likes dark sweet cherries, blackberries, black currants, dark berry jams, red velvet cake, black forest cake, things like that. Excuse me. So when you look at the different aspects of Hecate's will, or the Strophalos, the other meanings that you will find within it are rebirth and renewal, the mother, the maiden, and the crone, earth, wind, and sky, the maze of life / the journey toward enlightenment. Whatever you choose to call this journey, okay? Spell work is definitely prominent right now, or you could be dabbling in spell work. So some of you are wondering where to begin, and Hecate is a great source when it comes to spell work, but she is also great with shadow work. So that's just a heads up if you want someone to work with. I also feel like Kuan Yin is definitely needed here. She is the goddess of compassion and the mother of dragons, and if you see pink, more than likely Kuan Yin is trying to reach out to you, especially pink dragons, or if you see like dragon imagery a lot, that's Kuan Yin. I feel like both of these individuals are very prominent for you right now, and if you wanted to work with them while doing your shadow work and your journaling, that would be perfect. Okay, so you can also, for working with Miss Hecate, you can do so, I feel like this was definitely calling to me. You can also do so with scrying. You could do a scrying ritual. This can be done with like a compact mirror, some water, an altar, you know, full moon. You want all that. But in terms of like a particular ritual, this is what I've got. So like, this is how I imagine the evening for you. It'll be a full moon. Okay? And you're inside. You are burning your intentions. You are journaling. You are doing a shadow work prompt. You decide that you'd like to go outside and work with Hecate. You have a glass of water with you, and you have a compact mirror. And this particular ritual, you're going to know what to do, but this particular ritual is going to essentially help you work with your shadow self. So you are going to put some drops of water onto this compact mirror, and then you're going to sit in the moonlight and have the moon behind you, and you are going to face away from the moon, and you are going to look toward the moon through the compact mirror. And you are going to talk about that shadow prompt that you just did. This is how you're going to be able to communicate with Hecate and your shadow while scrying, while doing this ritual. I feel like it's very importante. I feel like that's importante for you. For those of you who like to watch pick-a-cards, this is random, but if you watch those, pick pile 3. If you don't know which pile to pick, pick pile 3 for that next reading. Not all readings, just that next one. Okay. I also want to remind you that, like, you know, you're not a convenience store, and you're not just here to heal whomever, whenever, like, again, going back to that handmade shit that Dr. Ramani talked about, like, you know, pour more into yourself, my friend, because you deserve it. You really do. Okay, so let's go ahead and break down number 9. So 9, we can see this as representative of Mars and Aries, but it is also exalted in Scorpio. So it's ruled by Aries, exalted in Scorpio. So someone is acting out of trickster energy right now, meaning that they have some cards up their sleeve and they're not showing you their full hand. And that's what we get from that Scorpio energy, though. You may be aware and exhausted with how this person chooses to operate in chaos. However, the joke is going to be on them, because even though you abhor chaos, you fucking thrive in that shit. Meanwhile, yes, they love chaos, but they cannot handle it if it affects them. Watch how they act when chaos affects them, okay? Like, it's like the end of the world. Anyway, these, again, are mostly passive-aggressive and sneak disses. Lots of snide shit up in here, okay? So, like, Scorpio unhealed energy is notorious for acting this way. Super petty. They are incredibly manipulative combined with that Aries energy, right? So this person or people can also be really loud. And there's that duality we were just talking about. A lot of people can also be really loud. So a lot of emotional whiplash to get your attention, whether it's aggressive or passive aggressive. They want a reaction from you by any means. I just channeled this movie, and probably because I said emotional whiplash, but if you've never seen it, I think it's on Amazon Prime or HBO, but it's called Whiplash, and oh my gosh, it's a great movie. But it's about this, without giving away too much, it's about this individual who wants to be a professional jazz drummer. Okay? And he gets into college, and he has this particular jazz teacher who is renowned. However, when he gets into this class, he is accosted by this jazz teacher and put through so much emotional whiplash that you feel it. It is so visceral while watching this movie, the secondhand, anxiety and depression and everything. So if you can, if you're very sensitive to those kinds of things, you might have to watch this movie in doses, but it is such a powerful and intense movie. And I feel like it is one of the most perfect ways to show how emotional abuse and mental abuse can carry out without someone even noticing. So if you ever get the chance, check out that movie Whiplash. It is so good. The main actor, what the hell is his name? He was in the new Footloose. Whiplash. Oh, I guess Whiplash was from 2014. But the main person, his name is Miles Teller. And his instructor, that is J.K. Simmons. So, if you know of those actors, they're good actors. So I feel like you might be dealing with an individual like that. I hope that they don't get physical with you, but I feel like they really fuck with your mental and emotional well-being. And, they genuinely think that they are teaching you, and they are they think they are superior to you. So they think that they're teaching you and that they're, helping you become better by treating you in these ways. Not only that, but they really just want a reaction from you by any means, because if you'll notice, these people with these personality disorders, psychopaths, sociopaths, narcissists, they have chronic misery, and they are so fucking miserable that they want other people to feel miserable like them. Okay, they want so badly. Misery loves company, but they want so badly for you to feel that way too. By any means. Whoever they are sending evil eye towards your happiness, and some may be dealing with 5 of Swords, 7 of Swords energy, in which a person is trying to even steal or destroy, or both, your happiness. So, this could be a relationship. This could be, a hobby that brings you a lot of joy or happiness. This could be, a vacation. But whatever they can do to make you feel crazy, but still destroy the things that make you not only happy, but keep you, sane well around this individual, they want to destroy it. And then they're going to play dumb. And be like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. No, you know damn well they did. So I also channeled that song by Big Sean, Bounce Back. And I heard, last night took an L, but tonight I bounce back. You got that energy, okay? I also heard, knew that ass was real when I hit it, bounce back. So I want to let y'all know, hey, someone loves the booty. Someone loves the booty, and they love that it's real. And if it ain't real, that's okay. But they love that booty. But even so, last night took an L, but tonight I bounce back. You are that. You have that energy. You are bouncing back. Yeah, last night you took an L. Yeah, you're admitting that to yourself. But fucking A, you are going to bounce back, my dude. I'm going to help you. Okay, so there may be some misdirected anger that you may experience. Just do your best not to project any misdirected anger just because someone else is making you angry, okay? I feel like you're more emotionally mature than that. This could be what they're doing to you, but just a heads up, misdirected anger, let's not do that. Those people, that person, whomever that fucked up motherfucker is, they hate how you just don't give them the reaction that they're looking for. Or really any attention at all. Some of you don't even notice or feel apathetic toward these attempts. Which is honestly like kind of commendable. Well, actually very commendable, because that's hard. That's extremely hard, so I commend y'all. We were just talking about gray rocking, so maybe you guys are already gray rocking. Some of you are practicing constraint and radical acceptance. Either way, you are commended. Okay? Like, if you're practicing restraint and radical acceptance and just understanding that, you know, this person doesn't want to change, I am not going to force them to change. That is who they are. I am who I am. I choose to grow from this. They choose to be how they are. That is it. That is what radical acceptance is. In a sense, I also see that as forgiveness. For essentially accepting and understanding who they are. But that's it. That's where I draw the line. Okay? Because boundaries are still, you know, something that one can have while in the spirit of forgiveness. All that evil eye, dude, like, this person can go fuck off. Anyway, I'm having misdirected anger now. Nonetheless, they could go frig off. I always think of, I don't know if y'all watch Trailer Park Boys, but whenever I say frig off, I'm thinking of Randy from Trailer Park Boys. I love Randy. He's always like, frig off! Anyway, let's see. I don't know. I think it's cool that you're really apathetic and that you're not letting them get to you. Some of you, like, if you're doing that, fuck yeah, kudos to you. Okay. So, again, y'all are definitely making a big move, having that new beginning, either figuratively or literally. Okay? So, show them what you got. Show them what you got. Okay? I literally heard that. Show them what you got. You have all the weapons you need. Now fight. And that came from Sucker Punch. I love that movie, by the way. That is another movie y'all should see. Because, like, the wise man, oh my god, he's great. A couple of quotes that I love from that movie was that one that I had just spouted, which was, you have all the weapons you need, now fight. Which was essentially, like, you know, telling Baby Doll that she already had everything she needed within her. But outside of that, he also said, you know, remember, ladies, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And that essentially, you know, reminds people that if you don't have a moral compass and you don't stand up for what is right, you will fall prey to whatever comes your way. That is essentially what that means, and I love that saying. So, you know, Ouroboros this shit, my loves. Believe in yourself. You can do this. Okay? This big move coming in September. You can do it. And I also heard, if you fall, I will catch you. I'll be waiting time after time. From Cyndi Lauper. Okay? And the universe, this was pretty much the universe at you. I also heard, like, you know, after that, the universe at you, fool. So, like, that could be like a sassy ancestor or something. I don't know. But that's how the universe feels about you. If you fall, I will catch you. I'll be waiting time after time. Like, they got your back, dude. They got your back. Like, if you get yourself into a screwy situation and you want out, the universe is going to be there to help you out. Like, if you want better for yourself, of course. Your ancestors, your guides, your deities, your angels, they want you to want better for yourself, to realize that you deserve better than the bare minimum. Because, you know, human decency, that is the bare minimum. You know, people cannot expect to, you know, be seen as amazing or, like, perfect in terms of being a parent or a partner or a friend. You know, just because they quote-unquote don't hit you, or quote-unquote don't cheat, or quote-unquote, you know, whatever, okay? But, or they chose not to call you a bitch that day. Like, no, dude, like, bottom line, human decency and respect and trust, those are major keys in every single relationship you will have. The golden rule, my friends. Someone or whoever those people are, they hate that you don't take their advice. So, like, I'm getting that you weren't even asking in the first place, though. And they keep badgering you for advice, but won't take it. Like, it's almost like their own petty F you when they don't take it. But they keep asking you for advice just to annoy you. And they don't know how else to, like, you know, interact with you. Because, like, right now, they're just looking for, like, excuses to interact with you in any way possible. You may be trying to relax and they keep on bothering you. So, like, trying to take up your time or tire you out more, giving you more tasks, blah, blah, blah. The Handmaid. Watch that video. Guys, watch that video by Dr. Romany. She knows what she's talking about. If you don't want to listen to me, listen to Dr. Romany. Listen to Dr. Patrick Tian. You don't have to listen to me. I'm just the messenger. But if you don't trust my advice, please listen to one of them or, you know, find another professional because, oh my goodness, this world is in some serious need of healing. And, you know, I just love you guys so much and I want you guys to have a good life and, you know, experience all the joy that life has and, like, all the wonderfulness that life has to give and to realize that, you know, just because there's evil out there doesn't mean you have to put up with it, and how to navigate situations when you have to interact with it. Like, if you don't want to hear it from me, my dudes, totally check out Dr. Romany, check out Patrick Tian, check out whomever. Like, there are tons of resources out there. You don't have to use me as a resource. I also want to remind you that some individuals or a lot of individuals are not completely, you know, really trying to be self-aware. Okay, like that's just not on their agenda. They don't even know what it means to be self-aware. Okay, like aside from, like, you know, having their faculties about them because they're sober, that's self-aware to them. Okay, so some people may not even be self-aware enough to realize that they do these kinds of fucked up things. And, you know, I understand you realize that about them, but that's still a red flag and that is still scary, and I still want to remind you that that's not okay, and half safe people are still not fully safe. That is it for 0909. Remember, in September possibly, I feel like there is going to be this, like, big new beginning or huge move. It's going to be an answer to your prayers. It's going to bring you so much peace and harmony, and I know you have been working so hard on maintaining this peace within yourself, and I feel like the divine are finally going to bless you with something to maintain this peace on the outside, whether it's, like, you know, again, a move, or it could even be like a car. Like, you're going to have a new car that'll take you, you know, to and fro, whatever you need. You are going to have this huge blessing that is going to be a stepping stone toward exactly what you need, and I'm here for it. Okay, so other numbers I saw: 1414 and 111. I decided to combine these since one is within 1414. I got major, like, 4115 vibes. So, like, people are coming to you, okay? People are coming to you to get the 411 on controversial topics. Now, this can mean what the fuck ever to you. Like, I feel like y'all are some controversial baddies out there, some controversial gangsters, and, like, you know, yeah, you're spiritual, but you take on, like, you know, controversial stances, and you are very, very, you're planted within your morals, within your moral ground. And I feel like sometimes, in a sense, that can be even controversial to individuals, because I feel like we've been inundated, and I'm sure you guys have noticed, but, like, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. We are constantly inundated with, you know, things that can get us addicted. Social media, fucking seeing sex, drugs, and rock and roll on the TV all the time. Though I love me some rock and roll. Nonetheless, like, I feel like we are constantly inundated with that kind of stuff, right? And it's not necessarily controversial in itself anymore. We've become so desensitized that, you know, it's cool. Like, for instance, my fiance and I just started playing this game called Cyberpunk 2077. I'm used to seeing, like, you know, boobs or whatever. Like, you know, I'm desensitized to that, not only because I'm a woman, but because you just see it so often in the media. But all of a sudden, you know, my fiance is making his character. I come back from brushing my teeth because I'm getting ready for bed, and he's like, hey, look at this, check this out. And I look over, and, you know, his character's junk is out, and I was like, oh my god. And I just was not used to seeing that. And I feel like, you know, I feel like it's an appendage and I should be fine, but I just wasn't used to it. And I'm like, well, I guess, like, at least they're balancing out the inundation, right? Even so, I feel like you give the 411 on topics that may feel people, or may make people feel that way that I felt, okay? Because it was just like, it was a wake-up call for me, and I'm not saying I'm completely innocent, but oh my goodness, I just couldn't believe my eyes. With one, this is also in relation, as we have been saying, to the sun, right? And so Leo is its domicile, so it feels most comfortable in Leo, but it's also the sun's ruler, whereas the exaltation, or the exaltation, in this case, is in Aries. There is lots of Aries and Gemini energy here, y'all. Lots of Aries and Gemini energy. We also get 4, and this is symbolic of Uranus. So we have that Aquarius energy, and then it's exalted in Scorpio. So you are definitely, with the 4 here, okay? With 4, you can always see this as a number of stability, home life, domesticity, things of that nature, okay? With the 4 here, you are going to see gains in your stability. Meanwhile, for them, those who want to fuck with you, they are going to be in 4 of Pentacles energy, and this is their karma, okay? Their lives are already hell if they have to put you through it too. Just remember that. But they are going to end up in 4 of Pentacles energy. If they're not already stingy, they're going to be even more stingy, okay? Because they're feeling like, you know, they're losing a grip. They're losing their grip on their reality, their life. So, like, if this is a landlord or a roommate or a living situation or even a work situation, they're not only closely monitoring their own finances, but I am feeling like they also have a close eye on yours as well. They may be charging you more, or they may even, you know, they may have, I just got a loan situation, so like you may have a personal loan with this person, or vice versa. They could have a loan with you, but either way, they've got an eye on their finances, and they've got a close eye on yours too somehow, okay? So if you use your finances for things that bring you joy, or any sort of self-care, like, let me tell you, especially if they live with you, like this person just hates it. You know, they're like, okay, so they have all this money to do this, but they can't do this and this. Oh, so they have all this money to do this, but they can't give me this. So it's like, you know, some of you have tried to bring this Scrooge-like person joy, okay? Like, you have tried. I feel like your people pleaser tendencies have been worn thin with this person, and you're just like, you know, you're done. I feel like you're done. And so save your time and effort, dude. Like, save it for yourself, save it for those who matter. In the end, the people pleasing for those who will never find your efforts to be enough will just continue to drain you. It'll just drain you. That's it. It won't give you any, any sort of like benefit, other than like, maybe having this person or these people off of your tail, off of your behind for a few minutes, but that's it. The tower is theirs though. They need to go through a whole, I got Scrooge flashback, because I couldn't remember what that movie was. Was it A Christmas Story? But it's that story in which like, or is it like Scrooge and the Magi or something? But it's that story in which like, everybody knows it. Scrooge, is a stingy man and he treats people like shit. And he goes to bed before Christmas and he interacts with these 3 different ghosts to teach him lessons. So this person needs to, interact with their demons in order to learn their lessons. They need to, because, they are not going to learn otherwise. You need to allow people to have the space in order to learn and develop. And if they choose not to do that, that is totally up to them. That is none of our business. Okay? But think of it this way. How can they too advance if they can never learn? If you're always there to, buffer them or cushion the landing, how will they learn? This could be like a family member who, consistently gets in trouble, with the law and has been doing it for years and years and just, they're not learning. And so, maybe you need to allow them to spend those few nights in jail for a bit and like, show them that you care and stop enabling them. Nonetheless, back to that Leo energy, like y'all are hot, y'all are smoking. Some of you just got a new haircut, a new style, a new color, a new trim, a blowout, whatever. Nonetheless, your hair and your nails for the ladies out there look fucking fire. I don't care if they're natural still. Like, you have no idea how many people don't take care of their nails. But your hair and your nails look fire. Some of you might, like, be on that cat nail trend. Or cat claws, I think they're called. In which, like, it kind of, like, bubbles and turns into, like, a claw. They look really cool. I haven't gotten my nails done in years, but they look cool to me. I don't know. So if that's, like, something that you guys are doing, that's fucking cool. Okay. So some of you are either getting a new place or renovating again. Getting a new place or renovating, or some of you are again getting a new car or upgrading your current car. I heard all the bells and whistles for this particular one. So I want to let you know that you are already frugal and you are doing great with budgeting, and great job. That is awesome. That is so hard. I'm proud of you. But please, please, please don't go overspending with this knowledge. But a little treat every now and then is okay. Do with that what you will. If you feel that you would like to, because I feel like, some of you might be going on this flow right now. If you have the feeling that you should be investing in stocks or Bitcoin, for those of you who are thinking about it, the divine are saying it's a go, but take it slow. Don't overdo it. Easy does it. Alright, so that's what we got for the downloads. Holy Toledo. How long was that? Oh my gosh, over an hour. Alright. Alright, let's bust into Tarot and Oracle then. I'm actually going to do Oracle first. Okay. So, let's go ahead and get our mantra. Our opening mantra, everybody. Are we ready? I cloak myself in a chiffon of pink. I ask my spirit guides, ancestors, deities, angels, and Mother Nature ground me in a protective glimmer, so that I may think, and so that I may shimmer. I am your oracle of the light, your seer in the dark. Please grant me that creative spark and allow me to bask in your divine essence through this confusion and stark. I am you and you are me. Voice through me these messages you wish to speak, and blessed be. Blessed be, y'all. Blessed be. Grand rising. It is morning still, like, I'm still waking up, like, grand rising, everybody. Good morning. If it's Friday for you, happy fucking Friday. Made it to the weekend, like, good for you. Hell fucking yeah. So, what I'm going to start with is the Gypsy Witch fortune telling deck. I believe that is what it's called. And I'm going to, as usual, be using this as my oracle deck. Okay. Right off the bat, we got the ring out. I want to pull a couple more. Okay, the male looks like it was wanting to come out, but I'm going to put that back into the deck just in case. Ooh, the crossroads! We were just talking about Hecate. Oh, there's the male again. Okay, whatever. Okay. So that wants to come out, so I'm just going to pull it out. So, for main energy, we have the ring, and this is in reverse. So, number 23, the ring. When to the right of a person is an unerring or indication of a rich and happy marriage, but lying to the left, disappointment in love. And this is in reverse. We also have the railroad, which is number 46. The railroad forecasts a long journey if near, 44. Okay, so a long journey if near 44. A serious accident if near 29. And a robbery. Number 31. The roads turn to the dark clouds foretells misadventures, but far away from the person, evil consequences may be averted. Number 19. This card represents the gentleman. Okay, so these are the main energies, okay? And we got the railroad and the roads. So, like, immediately, and if you look at this, this picture of the roads, it is literally, like, an X in the road and then, like, a sign with, like, a couple of roads you can go down. It is literally a crossroads. So, Hecate is definitely, like, making a huge appearance today, and she's like, hey y'all, it's me. She is also the keeper of keys, so keys are huge symbolism for Hecate, and for some overall energy out here, we got number 4, the key. We also have number 1, the sun, for overall energy, as well as number 14, and that is the rider. So, number 4, the key. Nearby is a certain augury of success, but if surrounded by unlucky cards, the prognostication is illness. Number 1, the sun. Near signifies happiness and popularity. Near snakes, mice, and dark side of clouds presages vexation. Number 14, the rider. The rider is a sign of good news unless alongside 6, 8, 11, or 13. My goodness, this is such a hefty spread. I really like that Hecate is making such a huge appearance, and I feel like, you know, she is really trying to guide you, and she's trying to give you the key. You know, she's trying to really bring clarity and, you know, have you focus in and, you know, bring in these messages for you and speak as clearly as possible and show you the different roads you can take, even though they may, you know, be long and, you know, it might take a while if you choose a particular road. She is showing you all of the different avenues that you're welcome to take and the consequences along each one. She is giving you the keys to success if you so choose. She is giving you the key to come out of cognitive dissonance and to stop giving this person or this situation all of these chances, and to, you know, I feel like this was a soul contract, especially with the ring out here. Now this could totally be like some of you are in a marriage with this masculine energy or energies plural, I ain't here to judge your life. You know, you're doing whatever, but you know, you are bound to this individual through some sort of contract, okay? And I feel like you have the key to leave. You are being given the key, and you are seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. And it's clear as day. And it is up to you whether or not you get to choose. You see who this person is. You see how they operate. You see how they move. She has revealed to you exactly what you needed to see. It is now up to you to choose. I feel like this also foretells of, you know, say you were to leave. Okay? And say if you were to stay. So, if you were to stay, we have the ring in reverse here. Disappointment in love. So, this doesn't have to just be in love. Again, this can be work. You know, this can be a friendship. But it's just an individual in which you have this huge tie to, and it feels financial. It feels very financial. Or even like a deed to a home. Or for some of you, I heard power of attorney. Like that kind of like contract. It feels very contractual. Again, it could be a loan or even a lease. It doesn't have to be like a physical contract, but it just feels like some sort of binding agreement. If you stay in this binding agreement with this ring in reverse here, like there's not a happy outcome. Like this person, these people, this situation, it's like Ouroboros, okay? With the ring here. The cycle just keeps repeating. Okay, the wheel just keeps on spinning. And we cannot expect the wheel to go in a different direction if we keep pulling it in the same direction, if that makes sense. Whereas, you know, on the other side, you know, another option for you would be to take that long journey. You know, to go down the railroad, to depart and, you know, take this key. And even if you don't know exactly what this key is to, you have this key now. And you have the power to get yourself away from this situation, this person, these people. You have that power. The signs are all clear. If this isn't your reading, you know, don't try and make it fit, please. But if this is your reading, Hecate is reminding you that, you know, Miss Keeper of Keys out here, Miss Goddess of the Crossroads, she's shown you exactly what you need. Miss Goddess of the Wheel, Miss Goddess of the Ring herself has shown you exactly what you need in order to take on this long journey. And it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be, you know, all sunshine and rainbows. But it's a step toward healing. It's a step toward peace. It's a step toward that sunshine. Okay, we got the sun out here. It is a step toward that sunshine. I feel like, thank you for that notification. I feel like there's also going to be a notification you're going to get, or some sort of letter or sign of good news with the writer here, number 14, that you're going to be getting. That is essentially, and this is coming in September, right? It's going to be either September of this year or of next year. So this is going to be the exact thing you needed in order to depart from this cycle, from this masculine energy. But you have to be willing to tell yourself that, you know, you deserve more, that you've had enough, and the cycle ends here. Well, let's go ahead and pull some tarot. So, I am going to be pulling from the Modern Witch Tarot deck. This is by Lisa Sterling. Okay. Give it one more shuffle. Cut the deck. And shuffle again. Okay, so we immediately got 3 cards out. Okay. Wow. So, for main energy, we got the Star. We got the 5 of Cups. And this flew out sideways, so I'm laying it on top of those. And this is the 7 of Wands. Okay? With the Star here, like, you realize that, you know, I feel like we're kind of going back into that, you know, that radical acceptance and teaching yourself how to have that radical acceptance and, you know, realizing that that's kind of going to be your protection along the way. Okay? What I mean by that is with the Star and, you know, the healing elements of this card and the transmutation that, you know, you can see that she is doing. In this particular card from this deck, we have a woman who is, you know, she has one foot inside of a pond, it looks like, and then she is with the other foot on the ground. It looks very grassy. She has 2 different pitchers. She is pouring water into the pond, but she's also pouring water onto the ground to water the ground. There's just a lot of life around her. It looks like she is breathing life into the world around her. And I feel like this is kind of what you did for that person. Like, not only have you been trying to, you know, water yourself, but, you know, this group, these people, this person, you have been watering them. And I'm talking about, like, catering to them. So, like, you know, if like this is like a home situation, you know, going back to that handmade type situation in which, like, you're cooking, you're cleaning, you know, you're the cash cow, you're paying bills, you're doing all of it, whereas they sit on their asses and they're lazy and they watch you and, you know, most of the time don't even notice. Gosh, that is so sad. I am so sorry, guys. I'm so sorry. We also have the 5 of Cups out here, right? And with that 5 of Cups for main energy, it's like, you know, the radical acceptance will come when you turn around and look at those 2 cups behind you and realize that, you know, despite who this person is and how they've been towards you and, you know, how they operate, that does not, you know, have anything to do with who you are. It doesn't mean that there's, you know, something wrong with you or, you know, your cups aren't good enough. What it means is that, you know, there are 2 cups behind you, and yeah, those 3 cups spilled over. You know, you spilled and poured a lot of emotions. With all of this water pouring here and all the spillage, you have poured so much of yourself and your emotions into this situation. And, you know, it can feel like, you know, it was a waste of time, a waste of effort, you know. And I feel like this person is still trying to ask so much of you. And it's like, you know, you've already spilled out 3 cups for them. What more do they want? So with the 7 of Wands laying over this 5 of Cups and the Star, you know, we want that radical acceptance and that healing in which, you know, it's like, and you know, you'll learn more about this from the Romany video as well, but like with these kinds of situations, especially if you live there, unfortunately, until you can get out, the best thing to do is to just learn how to not feed into it, not to bring that bazooka to the toothpick fight, because there's no need to fight, really, because that person doesn't care about understanding you. They don't see what you do day to day. They don't, you know, give two flying fucks. You know, if you're not catering to them, you know, they're pissed. And if you are catering to them, you know, they might be calm for 2 seconds, but they're probably going to be pissed later on about something else. So it's like, in that position, it's like learning how to not feed into it, and essentially just enduring till you can get out. And that is how you will protect yourself. Accepting that this is who this person is and who they choose to be. Mind you, who they choose to be. And, you know, seeing this as another lesson, not crying over the spilled milk and everything that you poured into this, because, you know, it wasn't for naught. Okay, nothing you do is ever for naught. You did your best, and just because they, you know, are disingenuous, if they do even recognize it, but just because they don't recognize it, you know, that doesn't mean that, you know, you're worthless or you don't have any value. You know, there are still 2 cups behind you, and those are your cups. You deserve those cups. You are not going to be pouring those cups into that individual. You are going to start learning how to say no. You are going to tell them they can go cook their own damn meal. They can go prep their own damn lunch. They can go fucking mop their own damn floors. Okay? Like, you are not here to be walked all over. Every time you allow that to happen, you are telling the divine, the universe, that you are okay with that, and that's how you want to be treated. Every time you allow it to happen, my friends, you are teaching other people exactly how to treat you every time you allow that. And you deserve so much better. Look at all of this work you're doing. Not just inside, but outside of yourself. You deserve so much better. And if nobody has told you that, I'm here to tell you that. Okay, so for overall energy, we got 4 of Wands in reverse. Yeah, your guys' shit is upside down, okay? Your stability, this person, these people have been trying to turn your stability upside down because they themselves don't have shit. Because they themselves, even if they do have financially more than you, like, it's not enough for them. They're not happy. They see you in your 10 of Cups over here. You know, they see you happy with, you know, your family. You know, you could be in a relationship. You could have kids. You could have pets. You know, this 10 of Cups, we see this couple and their children. And this couple is, you know, admiring this rainbow. And within that rainbow, there are 10 cups. And this card is representative of, you know, just think of it as like the ultimate happiness. You know, you have everything you want and need, and you are just so emotionally fulfilled. That is exactly what the 10 of Cups is. And the 10 of Cups comes when it's not only just within you, but your environment outside of you. So I feel like you are an individual who is so resilient that, you know, you can take any environment and make it feel like home, make it happy, make it look lovely, make it smell good, make it taste good. You can do so much, but it's like, think of it this way with the world out here, okay? Like, it doesn't matter how much beauty you try to add to this, how much with strength out here, how much you try to tame their demons, how much you try to, you know, love them and, you know, care for them and nurture them out of being and acting like a beast towards you. With strength out here, okay? Behind the 4 of Wands in reverse. It doesn't matter how much you do that. Because no matter what, that 4 of Wands, as long as you're with this situation or individual or individuals, as long as you don't, with the world here, as long as you don't, you know, close this chapter, because that's the world. That's, you know, you are closing chapters and moving on to your next lesson. As long as you keep this lesson open and you allow these people to operate how they are operating within your energy, you are not going to have stability. You are accepting. You are settling for, you know, the bullshit, the breadcrumbs that they're giving you. And you deserve way more than that. Okay? Yep, right behind strength, we got the devil out here. I knew that card was going to come out. Like, I feel like this person, like, God, it's like that contractual feeling. Like, I almost feel like they're doing anything within their power to just really fuck with your energy and be in your energy, be it through, like, you know, like a loan, or, you know, they might be your landlord or your boss or whatever, but like they just feel superior over you and they want to control you. And it's like, it's disgusting. This energy is disgusting. That's probably why I didn't do a reading last week, to be honest. Like, this energy, it's hard. Like, I feel like, you know, Knight of Swords just popped out. But I feel like this is the kind of person who, you know, will go and purposefully fuck up something that you love or that makes you really happy. They will purposefully try and fuck it up or rearrange it and then play dumb. And they'll see you in this Knight of Swords energy, anxious, sad. You know, this is exactly how they want to see you. This is what they are trying to achieve when they do that. Because these people feed off of your energy. I know it sounds like woo-woo bullshit, but it's not. People are feeding off of people's energy, which is why they want those reactions. Nine of Swords, they want you in this Nine of Swords energy. Because that's how they feel at night. They want you to feel that way. They want you to feel alone, scared, worthless, invaluable. They want you to, you know, be upset. You know, and I feel like they also, when they do those things in which, like, they, like, try and fuck up something and then play dumb, it's because they want you to feel crazy. They want you to get upset and then to feel crazy for being upset about it. It's fucked up. For overall energy in this situation, we've got Nine of Pentacles in reverse, the Empress, we have Death in reverse, and the Knight of Cups. I think after this, I'm just going to end it here, because this energy is too much, and I want to go shower. Okay. For the overall, we have Knight of Pentacles in reverse. And it's a garden. This picture is a woman who is in a garden, and she is someone who doesn't fully see the value of everything that she brings to the table. She is someone who, you know, feels incomplete within, and so she is seeking out that final pentacle to find that completion outside of herself, when already what she is seeking is within her. And I feel like that is exactly why people stay in these sorts of situations, because, you know, that inadequacy can make you really feel like, you know, you deserve this kind of treatment, but you don't. You deserve to be treated like the Empress. You deserve to be... Thank you for that confirmation. You deserve, you know, to fucking... You don't... Why the fuck... This person who wants you to cry over them, they could go get fucked. They could go frig off. I don't like energy like this. I personally don't even, like, deal with it. Like, anyone who operates like this, like, I don't got time for that. With the Empress out here, like, dude, like, fucking, and then behind the Nine of Pentacles in reverse, like, you are not giving yourself nearly enough credit for how much you do. And you need to focus on pouring more into yourself. If you really got to pour into something, pour into yourself. And if that fucking narcissist or whoever the fuck they are, the situation, if they have a problem with it, that's their fucking problem. I have like zero tolerance for that kind of bullshit, and I'm tired of it. I am tired of people having to deal with people like this. It makes me so upset, and I'm so sad that so many people feel stuck in these situations, because you guys don't deserve to feel that way, and I know exactly what it feels like to be in that position. With death in reverse here, like, you have so much power to change the situation if you so choose, but you have to choose to change it. You have to choose to change it. With the Knight of Cups here, like, you're gonna have some good news coming in, and it's going to, again, bring you the peace that you need, but will you take it? It's going to lead to this Nine of Pentacles no longer being in reverse, but upright. It's going to lead to you feeling like you could be in your Empress or Emperor energy. That you can relax too. That, you know, you can take a bath. That you can fucking sit in the shower. That you can go swim. That you can fucking go lay in the grass. That you can play a fucking video game. That you can indulge in something without someone fucking judging you. I am so tired of fucking people like this, making people feel like... Okay, I'm getting angry, but I'm gonna wrap it up here. I feel like I'm kind of tapping into your energy, and, you know, on top of that, I am genuinely angry that people, you know, I almost feel like they're just not human, but it just, it confuses me that people are that fucked up. And, like, again, like, I'm kind of coming to the conclusion that we can't have the good without the bad, but at the same time, it's just like, you know, I don't want to just be grateful for a human for being, you know, a decent human. Like, I'm not going to pat anyone on the back for being a decent fucking human being. Okay. Wusa. Alright, let's do our outro. By all that is divine, I will now close and exit this reading. Thank you for illuminating the path and for not retreating. Our session has now come to an end, and this advice I shall not bend. Please be safe on your path and keep me safe in the aftermath. Blessed be, and so it be like that. Alright, y'all. You know, I'm gonna go ahead and take a dab. So those of y'all who smoke, come on and take a dab with me. Let's breathe out that fucking wild energy we just experienced. But yeah, like, fuck that shit. You guys, y'all deserve better. You know what? I'm gonna pull you an oracle card, because I want y'all to leave here feeling good. I don't want you to be, because that's what they want. They want you to be all up in your head and all angry. And I'm here to make you feel better. Let's get another oracle card. Ooh, that was a hefty dab. I'm not gonna lie, but, like, I know that smoking and, like, any sort of dependency on, like, you know, smoking nicotine and whatnot, I know a lot of it, like, has to do with, like, the actual, like, chemical reaction and the chemistry within our brain. But I also feel like a lot of it has to do with our body recognizing that it enjoys deep breathing. And I feel like a lot of us just don't practice deep breathing enough. So with me bringing that up, maybe go ahead and, you know, do your deep breathing. Energy is gaining momentum. A. Ooh. Okay, so that's our main energy. The energy is gaining momentum. Outer energy today. Ooh, Leo. Okay. Don't let pride get in your way. Full moon in Leo. And a personal issue reaches resolution. Full moon in Cancer. Whereas, you know, for our main energy, the energy is gaining momentum. That is in a waxing moon. Okay. So, what we get from this? The whole don't let pride get in your way, I don't want you to take that as, like, you know, again, with the personal issue reaches a resolution. Don't take that too personally. So, like, what that means in this scenario is, like, you know, yes, you have invested quite a bit of time and effort and, money and energy into this particular situation. And so it can be hard to leave because of how much you have invested in this situation. But again, there's that cognitive dissonance, right? And the energy is gaining momentum, and you are going to have much more brought to light, and you are going to have so much more clarity, and the situation is going to unravel itself more and more until you just cannot take it anymore. That is just how these situations work. As long as you stay in the cycle, it just gets, unfortunately, worse and worse until you decide you've had enough. It'll just gain momentum. The wheel will keep turning until you decide you've had enough. A lot of this, has to do with the inner work. Okay? For instance, like I don't talk about this a lot, but my I guess you could say it was a serious relationship, but my serious relationship prior to the relationship that I am in now. I am currently engaged to my fiance, right? But prior to this, the last serious relationship I was in, it was for about 4 or 5 years, and it was with an individual who was incredibly abusive. Like, I'm not going to get into too many specifics because I do not want to trigger anybody, but like physically, mentally, verbally, just, constantly cheating, like, fucking, if you could think of it, like, this guy was fucked up. Like, he tried drowning me, guys, like, and things literally just got worse and worse and worse until I left, okay? And even leaving felt scary. It honestly took me, because personally at that point, like, I stopped caring about myself. Like, around that 4-year mark, I just kind of like just accepted that, I was stuck with this guy, because if I tried to leave, he would not only try to make my life hell, but he would be, texting my family. He would, somehow hack into all of my stuff and, like, be posting intimate pictures and videos of me and, like, sending out emails, and he would get onto Craigslist and fucking go onto these, like, sexual encounter posts and, put my phone number on there, put my address, to the point of random scary men showing up at my door looking for me. And we had to put, my sister and I, we put a fucking sign outside of, the window facing toward the street saying that, like, that the person by my name is not here and to go elsewhere, because we are not soliciting that sort of behavior or engagement, so please leave. So it was like, it was really scary, like, trying to leave. And so finally I got my dog Biggie. He was my first dog ever to myself, and I still have him, and he is fucking amazing. I love this guy. He has gotten me through so much. But it took seeing that man who abused me. I'm sorry for getting emotional about this, but I still struggle with what he had done to Biggie. But it took, outside of seeing it done to me, to seeing it done to my dog Biggie in order to leave. And to realize that what was going on was fucked up. And so I finally got out of there. I took Biggie. Oh, my poor baby. Like, I'm over the whole situation between, that individual and I, but when it comes to my babies, like, I don't play. I don't play about my babies. Like, don't ever touch my babies. Leave Biggie, Lulu, and Cachito out of it. Leave my fiance out of it. Leave my sisters out of it. Like, I don't fucking play. I'm very protective, and I feel like y'all are very protective too, and that's probably another reason why we got this Leo energy out here. But it took that to get me to leave, and I don't want it to be something so extreme for y'all to encounter before you leave. So please, like, or even like someone you know, please, like, you know, talk to them about it. Like, especially if they have children or pets in the mix. Like, you know, those babies don't deserve that. They really don't. And they cannot speak up for themselves in the way you can. And so if you or a person is in this sort of situation and there are others involved, I feel like, you know, this personal issue is definitely reaching a resolution, and it's very emotional. Okay, it's very emotional. The energy is gaining momentum. I really hope that if y'all are in that sort of situation, that you get out and you stay out. And I understand it's scary. I understand. Anytime I tried to leave, like, I was, you know, beaten, I was threatened, like, I understand. But you deserve more. Your babies deserve more. Okay? And if you are in that sort of situation, I hate to get too Freudian, but chances are you are in that situation because of childhood, and maybe it's time to do some sort of shadow work in regards to that. And like how you may have encountered that sort of energy in childhood. You know, if you can afford it, therapy. If not, there are so many tools and resources out there. Like, I promise you, everything will be okay. And the divine's got you, I got you. Like, you are not alone. Alright, y'all. I love you. And you are going to get through this. And I think I'm ready to go shower and get out of this energy. And I don't know, maybe go bake something. But I love y'all. Have a beautiful day.